And that's it. We're live. Look at that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Housekeepers podcast. Dare I say the cleanest hour in podcasting. I am very excited to meet Mr. Chris Peters. Chris, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Ralph?
Every time I've been writing your name, and it's weird. It's not like a girlfriend thing where I'm writing on a book, but kind of the same thing where I'm constantly writing your name. Every time I don't stop at Peters, and I write my own name, Peterson.
Right?
I'm like,
we could be cousins. We probably go way back in Germany somewhere.
Probably do, and I even have German. I'm part German.
You've got to, yeah.
Mostly British by like 80%, 84% British.
Wow.
I know. I just took one of those 23andMe. You never done that? Like have you done that yet?
To. I've done Ancestry. I haven't done 23andMe. That looks interesting.
It is interesting. You know what's fun about the 23andMe is it doesn't just tell you like, all right, so you're 84% British, and then there's German, French, and a little bit of Irish in there. And that's it, by the way. That's it for my lineage. All Eastern Europe or Western Europe. What is that?
That's West.
West, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the only place I'm from. But it doesn't just tell you that. It tells you what your preferences are, what your food preferences are. Like, people with your blood type, drink a lot of coffee. I'm like, I drink a lot of coffee. People with your blood type, like that kind of stuff. Like, it tells you all kinds of stuff. It tells you what you're predisposed to.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm convinced. And you have a new sponsor.
That's right. 23andMe. Sign on up. Tell them that the housekeeper sent you. I should have a sponsor of 23andMe.
You should work on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
New Year's resolution.
New Year's resolution. Although I was upset, truth be told, because I didn't want to be British, but my brother always said that we were like Scottish or some Highland warriors. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Just
Scottish
to
doesn't even come up.
Teacup. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And then there was another part of my family who believed we were Native American. Nope, zero.
Ooh.
Yeah, none.
That's tough.
Yeah. Do you have any Native American? Do you know? You don't know.
Well, now I'm not so sure. I've always been told.
See?
Yeah, but I've not done the test.
Yeah,
if you're in Oklahoma and are native, native to Oklahoma, you're just about bound to have some.
Are you from?
We've been getting along for a while. I was born in Texas,
well, close enough.
I've been in Oklahoma all my life.
Yeah, close enough. Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Shawnee. We're known by some as the city of 5 nations because we're smack dab in the middle of what used to be Indian territory, and according to some court decisions, I think it still is. But we've got the absentee Shawnee decision. Absentee Shawnee tribe, Citizen Potawatomi, Sac and Fox, which is Jim Thorpe, Seminole tribes right there, and I'm forgetting one. But we've got like 39 established tribes here in the state, so it's a pretty big part of our community. Oh, Kickapoo, that's the other one. Kickapoo tribes right there too. So we're bordering all these old reservations, and we have a blend of cultures, and we all just try to get along. It's interesting.
That is awesome. The only time my only reference, and this is going to show how ignorant I am, the only reference I have to Kickapoo is the song by Tenacious D.
Oh, man. I haven't heard that name in a while. I'm not listening to that song. I remember Tenacious D from high school. That was cool. That's cool back then.
What was it called?
Tenacious D. I just remember them being a thing in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't thought about them for a while.
Yeah, Tenacious D. They had a song called Kickapoo, I think.
I'm going to look it up.
I'm pretty sure they had a song
right after I finish my swab.
I'm going to have it. It's my other sponsor, Tenacious D. Come on. What are you doing?
If they're still around, I'm
sure
they'll be glad to play your music.
Jack and Kyle. How can they not be still playing music, those two?
Right.
Anyway, welcome to the Housekeepers podcast. Thank you so much for coming on and riffing with me a little bit. So I'm excited to get to know you. You are, as you said, from Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Shawnee, Oklahoma. So
that's where you grew up.
Make a living, raise a family. That's a large part of my growing up. Yeah.
What was it like growing up there?
Well, so I've grown up in many places. I claim Shawnee because that's where I got my undergrad And there's a small school there, Oklahoma Baptist University. It's a give them a shout out. They're a great school, and I started going to camp there from like 7th grade on. I just knew that's where I wanted to go. So it was very much a family feel. So once you've gone through your 4 years there, I can walk around campus and all the professors still know my name. At one point, I'd been gone for 10 years, and I went to campus, walking down the sidewalk, and one of my old professors walking toward me and said, "Oh, hey, Dr. Sanders." "Oh, hi, Chris." And just kept walking, twiddling the thumbs like I'd never left. They just assume, you just know everybody. I literally, not literally, it felt like I knew everyone when I graduated there. So Shawnee's a special place to me. I got involvement going back way back when. My parents moved around a little bit.
Well, where'd you grow up as a kid? Where'd you grow up as a kid?
High school. I went to Hobart High School, which is an even smaller town in Oklahoma. And before that, I was homeschooled, and we spent a little time in Texas working. My dad worked for the Boy Scouts when I was young.
Really? So, what did he do for the Boy Scouts?
He did the thing. It was called being a district executive, and so he traveled all around finding volunteers to start packs and troops and dens. And then he would go find churches that would donate their basements or whatever and be their charter partner. So he was the behind the scenes kind of making the program run, fundraising. So it's funny now that I'm back here pounding the ground in Oklahoma, where he pounded the ground and made our living for our family. It's really interesting how it's very similar. I don't fundraise. I'm selling tangible goods. But it's all about, you go to City Hall, you get to know the mayor, you get to know the pastor, you get to know the superintendent. It's all the same people and the same roles and the same highways. Yeah. It's really kind of interesting how you retrace steps.
So were you a Boy Scout, a Cub Scout?
I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm an Eagle Scout all the way. Yeah. Once an Eagle, always an Eagle.
Yeah. So you had to start at the bottom. Boy Scouts, Webelos.
Yep.
Yeah. My dad was a den master, den father, den whatever. Yeah. What is it called? Whatever. My mom was too. My mom did it. So we did an awful lot of. I had so many merit badges that they went all the way down my shirt. Little silver, the what were those? The silver.
The Cubs had pins and things.
Yeah, well, we had pins too, but when in Webelos, Boy Scouts. Were those almost like they were like chevrons, these silver chevrons that you got for every time for a little merit badge, and you had this whole book that you walk a lady across the street or help somebody with their groceries or right, like it was all these little things,
Yeah.
You can get
some of those took a while. I think I finished with like 25 merit badges or something.
Yeah.
Some of them are tough. Some of them you worked for weeks or months. You had to have long-term projects. And it's a good experience. Kind of grew up a scouting family.
That's so cool.
Here in Oklahoma, so
that's so cool.
It's a good childhood.
What about mom? What did mom do?
She placed foreign exchange students. So she talked to those same school superintendents, trying to get permission for some kid from Eastern Asia or Brazil or whatever to come to school for a semester or a year. So we had the world at our doorstep.
Wow. Often. So did you guys take in a lot of exchange?
We did a few, and it was somewhere in high school they really started. I knew our first one real well. She's kind of an adopted sister from Japan. We were pretty close. And then I graduated. They had a lot of exchange students after I left the house.
Oh, wow. Well, they needed the extra room.
Yeah, they kicked me out. off I went to Shawnee, and that's why there it is. That's why I claim Shawnee, because it's the only place that would take me. So he just stumbled across it right there. I stay over Christmas break if they let me. Yeah,
I'll put it all together. Do you have any other siblings, or are you the only child?
Yeah, brother, sister. I'm the oldest.
Oh,
so, I'm the overachieving eldest.
Oh yeah, sure. So how old are you compared to them?
Oh, I'm about 3 years older than my sister.
Oh wow, so that's a big age gap.
Especially the 8 years. We grew up in different households. He went through several more foreign exchange students and a lot that I didn't. I wasn't there for. I was off forging my way in the world.
The difference between, and I was thinking about this. I'm the youngest of four, and my older brother was, I think, 4 years older than me. which is not that big of a deal when he's 24 and I'm 20. But when
Right.
he's 11 and I'm 7,
Yeah, you're in the way.
That's a huge difference, you know?
Yeah, I was 16 and he was 8, you know?
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and he's 10 and I'm gone, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So poor guy.
Exactly.
We get together for lunch, we hang out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's all good.
So did you, other than Boy Scouts, did you play sports? What was the...
I was in about every little circle. I did like a semester or a year of track. I'm not a track kind of guy. Some of the other guys and I that kind of defied labels, you know, because high school, you've got that, you know, the people that listen to Tenacious D are the ones that, you know, don't categorize me. You know, we formed a croquet club, and we printed shirts, and we'd go all through town, and we'd play at different venues, and we'd play croquet like a bunch of old gentlemen. That was our way of rebelling. In high school, I got really into ultimate frisbee. Yeah, with the sticks and the mallets and the wickets, and we played extreme croquet.
Yeah,
rain, sign, snow, whatever. We played croquet at the city park, and we mobilized. We did a bicycle tour de Hobart, and we passed out medals and everything. It was like a 5-mile bike ride as fast as we could get across town, totally unsanctioned, right in the middle of the street. You know, that's the kind of trouble we got into in a small town. But when I got to Shawnee, OBU, I got into ultimate frisbee and things like that. Never anything mainstream, always kind of goofy. So I didn't get the benefit of like real team sport experience. We would just cobble together. It's like a kickball team. Hopefully you're not the last one picked.
Yeah. You know, I never played ultimate frisbee until I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah.
And my first time playing ultimate frisbee, a guy got hit so hard they dislocated his shoulder, and I was like one of them, had to bring him to the aid station. So it's me and another guy, and we're walking him off, and I just keep thinking to myself, I remember as clear as day, as I'm walking off that field, I'm thinking, well, this is I never thought frisbee was this.
It's contact sport.
Holy moly.
It's a contact sport. I saw a lot of blood, and it was co-ed, so it was even worse. You know, I don't know that I'd let Marines play ultimate frisbee. That sounds too intense.
They said we're going to play ultimate frisbee. I was like, this is the Marine Corps. We're going to play frisbee?
Sir, yes, sir.
Right. 8 minutes later, you know, people are being brought to the emergency room.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is pandemonium.
It feels like a real sport now just because of that experience. Yeah.
That's a bloody sport right there, ultimate frisbee. I would have never in a million years known that.
Oh, my gosh.
And with a deep appreciation for ultimate frisbee, that's for sure.
There it is.
That's crazy. So what did you study in college?
So psychology. I was not sure if I was going into ministry or something else. So I was a family psychology major. And my mom, as I neared the end of all that, she said, you know, if you're going to do anything, you better go get a master's degree at least. Otherwise, you're going to end up, you know, cleaning something or running a vending machine route. And I thought, oh, horror of horrors. I can't have that. So I got my degree at Oklahoma Baptist, and then I went to Oklahoma State and got my master's degree in marriage and family therapy.
Interesting.
And, it's kind of a atypical path. That's me, atypical, right? And then about the time I got my master's degree, I thought, man, a vending machine route sounds really good about now. It doesn't sound bad at all. But
it really doesn't. I mean,
it's not that bad way to earn a living.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and so I got my degree. We moved to California for a few years. My wife, she's a California transplant. So she drugged me to Disneyland for about 8 years. And my father-in-law saw, you know, hey, you got the degree. You're not the dummy I thought you were when you asked for my daughter's hand. But hey, come with me, boy. Let's show you the ropes. And he's sold pumps out there for 40 years. So he let me tag along with him selling industrial pumps. Pumps, you know, just like a gear pump, positive displacement pumps, air diaphragm pumps, gear pumps, piston pumps. All right. There's a whole world. Who knew? But
not those kind of pumps.
No, not like not like the cool, not like the heels, not like the ones you pump up.
Got it.
Just the Reebok basketball. No. So he got me into kind of industrial sales, and fascinating. So if I go back to my origins in high school, I was mentored by a guy who sold cleaning supplies. I got into psychology.
Guy who sells.
He was just a guy at church, and they were encouraged, hey, grab a high school kid you think has some potential. Just get together with him once a week. Take him to Sonic or read a book together, spend some time with the kid.
Oh, that's nice.
So he would show up like on every Tuesday and take me to Sonic, which is big out here. We're the birthplace of Sonic, you know.
Oh, I did not know. I like their
started in
tots.
Shawnee, Oklahoma. And there you go.
I'm a big fan of tater tots, and you can't get them anywhere else except for a Sonic.
There it is. We got the trademark apparently. But we would sit and we'd visit. We'd talk about life. We'd drink our sodas, and you know that impacted me. I ended up making a few deliveries from him, and several jobs through high school, college. Just always involved cleaning somehow, right? And so as I kind of made my path, I fell into sales because I like people, right? So my father-in-law saw that about me, saw that I liked people, that I could talk about anything to anybody. So he kind of introduced me to the world of sales. I sold pipe, valves, and fittings for several years. I sold electronics for a few years. And then when I came back to Oklahoma and started kind of replowing some of my old stomping grounds, opportunity came up to get into cleaning supply world. And I kind of started thinking, you know, I've actually done cleaning since I was like 16 years old. Like I was a dorm captain at one church camp. We called ourselves trash weasels at one camp. It was at Falls Creek, and anyone that grew up in Oklahoma knows all about Falls Creek. It's the largest denominational church camp anywhere. It's huge, like 8,000 kids at a time. And I had the unique privilege. I didn't know this was my job until before I got there. But when I got there, they said, you're part of the tabernacle crew. So, okay, great. I'm going to run a camera or something. Well, no. Here's your broom. After every service, we need you to sweep up. And so me and about 5 other guys, every single day in the sweltering heat, we would sweep cans and bottles and bubble gum to the front of this great big concrete tabernacle and bag it up and throw it away. We do it like 3 times a day. And over the summer, there was firework displays. So we'd be out there picking up teeny tiny pieces of
my gosh,
firework trash every night, you know. So that was pretty tough. But we called ourselves the trash weasels. So we had our own little identity there. Anyway, I've been cleaning forever. And so when that opportunity came to do outside sales selling cleaning supplies, I jumped on it. It's been a lot of fun. I didn't know the pandemic was going to hit us when I started that. That was an interesting industry to be in because I was very essential and on the kind of the front of a lot of that. But anyway, so that's how I kind of got into cleaning. I did it, and then now I'm selling the stuff to do it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had I'm so curious as to why marriage counseling, and have you done any of it?
Yeah, well, to get the degree, I had to have about 500 face-to-face hours. So I've done 500 sessions of marriage and family therapy way back when. It feels like another lifetime ago. I think it was just that urge to help people, and that's why everyone goes into medicine or therapy or whatever.
It's why I went into housekeeping.
Right? Yeah. Well, and you went into housekeeping because you had a dirty house or something, right? And you go into therapy because you kind of had like some messy relationships. And everybody in there is in there for a reason, you know, probably to undo something from their past, or somebody came along at a critical point. And so I had a little bit, nothing crazy dramatic, but, you know, I wanted to help people in that way. And, you know, but for me, and I have colleagues that are still doing that, and I applaud them. A lot of them have their PhDs now. That's great. I wasn't really cut out for academia. I just got bored with studying one topic for a prolonged period. I just couldn't imagine doing a dissertation. I did a 80-page thesis and it about killed me. I'm such a breadth person. I like knowing a little bit about everything. You can't do that in a dissertation.
Yeah.
You got to know a lot about one thing. So this, it's hard to set boundaries when you're in that kind of role, because you're emotionally vulnerable all day long to all these people. And some of them want to be helped. Some of them really don't. They're just trying to check something off a court order. So you see all kinds of people coming to you. It was hard to set boundaries. And so I realized, for the sake of my own marriage, my own family, I just didn't have the emotional bandwidth to be that person for everybody every day. So that's why I got out of it. That's why I got into it, why I got out of it, while I still look for authentic relationships with others. I'm kind of I kind of take a counseling-based approach to sales. I don't make people do things they don't want to do. I try to hear them out and kind of find out what's going on inside. So it's kind of a different take on sales than maybe a business major would have. But,
it's interesting listening to you talk about it, because when I think about marriage and counseling, the last thing I think of is
Mhm.
court orders. Like,
Oh man, you get some kids in there, and you've got custody, and you got all that. Like that's when. And we were a low income sliding fee, because we're
yeah.
just students learning the trade. So we got folks that were pretty far gone. Yeah, there are a lot of people that they just go in because they just feel like they need a tune up, and that's great. But we didn't get a lot of those at the agency level. We got the ones that were pretty far gone. If they didn't go to therapy, they're going to lose their kids. It was always real tragic, and someone's life was always hanging in the balance. And that was a lot to deal with every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's, an order is late or something didn't get cleaned as good as it could have. That's pretty easy to make an apology and go fix it and move on. You don't have anyone's life hanging in the balance. So
yeah. I knew a lady who got a degree in art therapy. She had a master's degree in art therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember not knowing what it was. Like, art
Mm-hmm.
therapy sounds, I don't know. It sounds interesting, but I really had no understanding about it. And she was explaining that children, you can learn a lot from children just by watching them color and the things that they're drawing and all this stuff. And so the way that she described it was just so this amazing kind of, you get in there and you give a kid a box of crayons and some paper and you can learn a lot and you can uncover some things.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward, I talked to her like a year later. She's at a school, she's in a practice, she's doing art therapy, and her number one concern is the kids breaking the crayons. Like, forget interpreting anything. The kids are destroying the art supplies. Like, it's so far removed from what she thought,
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like it's the same thing with you.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe so. And there's value in therapy. So I hope no one takes that the wrong way. There's a lot of value, and I see a lot of good done. We even had occupational therapists come visit us because we'd be working side by side in the agency at some point. And that was fascinating. There's a lot of fascinating stuff. I really was impacted, as you probably were. We're not too far apart in age, but Mr. Rogers, I mean, me and my dad went and watched that movie a few years back, not the one with Tom Hanks, but before that. We bawled like babies because it had impacted both of our childhoods because his time on TV was so long.
Yeah.
I was really impacted by the way he connected with people, and he would sit there and just ask them questions and get to a deep level. So as a salesperson, I mean, I want to be Mr. Rogers. I want to sit there and ask dumb questions. I want to really get to know that person. I want them to feel like they were valuable enough for me to spend some time with. It's not about me peddling aware whether they need it or not. I really want to know, like, how do you do your job and what's good about that? What's hard about that? And I try to ask Mr. Rogers questions all the time. So it got me into psychology, but it's carried me through my adult life into sales. It's really what I think about a lot. I don't set out all the time with a plan. I set out to go make a difference to somebody, and I'll go knock on some doors and I'll go look up old friends to do it. But I'm always trying to connect, just like Mr. Rogers would at the crayon factory. Just ask all those questions and do something outlandish. I remember he'd blow a trumpet in a cave. He just wanted to know what it sounded like. And I do stuff like that all the time. I know this is cheesy, but can I just yell? I want to hear my echo, but I just think that's great because I think people appreciate, just drop the formality and just be together, be authentic.
I think that's really special. I like the you're in your car right now, right? I mean, you're sitting in your car.
Apologies, yes.
No apology necessary. You sound great. So I take the new equipment. You do sound well. My only point is that I totally empathize with you. I spent years and years and years and years behind a windshield. And there's some amazing, tremendous freedom that goes along with it.
Oh yeah.
But also there is some really hard times. There's lonely times, there's hardships, there's I had one woman, I stopped in, and I'm never an appointment setter. I was always just a show upper. I cold call now, and there are people who would never cold call, who they just simply wouldn't. But I truly believe in what I'm offering is helpful. It doesn't mean that you need it.
Yeah.
And with peace and love, if you don't need it, great.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go. I don't want you to spend the rest of the day not knowing I exist. That's
Right.
But I've had people like get really physically mad at me for how dare I walk into their place of business without an appointment.
Right.
And I would be very innocently like, how do I make an appointment? You don't. Oh, well, okay. Well, you know what I mean? Like, as much as I want to be okay with it, it's still you go into your car and going, good Lord.
It hurts. It's only happened to me a handful of times. Most of those people called me back during the pandemic. They realized I really need disinfectant. What did you have? So I got a lot of business cards passed out even when I got thrown out on my ear. And then suddenly we were best friends, because they really needed it. but I just don't burn bridges myself. I've been yelled at a couple times and no appointment, no, okay, that's fine. Have a great day. I'll see you the next one. And you kind of collect yourself in the car and you just go, I don't know what was going on for them, but they must be having a really hard time. Because I've never reacted that way, I might be busy.
and what you just said there, I think, is so key to it all. And it's one of those things where it's always top of mind for me, because every time I don't even have to leave the house, I can see it. But that whole adage, you never know what's going on in somebody else's car.
Right.
And so if you see somebody cutting you off or weaving in and out of traffic, my first initial instinct is, what a jerk. But then I have to go, okay, what could possibly be making somebody do that? Sure, impatience, sure, not caring maybe though, there's an emergency.
Right.
Maybe
you make up stories. My wife and I make a story. I bet his wife's having a baby right now. And we kind of do it tongue in cheek and nope, he's just a jerk. But it takes some of the stress out of it when you can make up a little backstory.
But exactly, you're speaking exactly what I'm saying. Like it's hard not to own how sometimes people treat you,
right?
And it's so much better if you're able to just pass it off to, it's not me, it's them. It's not them, it's their situation. It's not their situation, it's how someone else is coming at you know what I mean? Like if you can just keep pushing it down, it makes it so much. I have such a struggle doing it, because somebody could legitimately be, I could see that they're having a problem that they can't control. And I still sometimes get mad at them for having the trouble they can't control.
Oh yeah. You can give them the perfect solution if it's not right for them that day. And they're just going to tell you no. And you just gotta move on to the next one. You can't force a sales relationship. Not in my view. I'm real big
did you ever do anything other than sales? I mean, right out of college, it seems like you went right into.
I went right into inside sales, and I kind of learned, the technical aspect and the customer service aspect. And it took a while to get into the outside sales, because it's a lot of trust that they put in you to set your own schedule and drive your car wherever and hopefully represent the company well. So it took a little while for me to break into that, but it's been great. I've loved being in that role, having that kind of freedom, and just. My day is what I make it, and I want to go meet all the people I can, tell them all about what I do, hopefully make a few friends and not too many enemies. But I really enjoy it. No, it's been sales ever since finishing with my master's degree.
Yeah.
I finally got to the point where people, I've changed jobs, a couple times, not a whole lot, but the first job was, when are you going to go back into counseling? And I'm like, no, trust me, never. I know I have this brand new degree. But no, I just want to come sell for you. And no one would believe me. But now that I've been doing this 12, 13 years, everyone's going, okay, yeah, it's all you've been doing the last 12 years. We believe you, And then it becomes more, what did you get out of that experience? And then I go into, systems theory and cybernetics and client-centered approaches and things like that I absolutely got out of that experience. I just use it differently than in a therapeutic setting.
I saw a poll today on LinkedIn. Somebody asked, how did you get into the position you're in, or the industry that you're in? Did you fall into it? Did you study into it? Did you, whatever? And it was like 70%, or maybe it was even higher. It was a majority of people fell into the career they're in, fell into the industry they're in, I think it happens to all of us. And so then the question then of what's the degree for? It's for me.
Yes,
for you, right? I mean, your degrees made you a better person, makes you more understanding, more knowledgeable, more patient, right?
Yeah. Thicker so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
definitely.
It doesn't matter what the degree is in. what matters is the not to everybody I know, but certainly for me, because I went to school for probably longer than most people do, and only and the only one that benefited was me. You know what I mean? Like there's no clear straight line. You know, I have a degree in U.S. history. I don't teach U.S. history, but man, does that help me. Maybe it doesn't seem like it helps me, right? But trust me, it does.
Well, we went off on that tangent about like name origins and things like that. Like that's a really common tangent I get into like on a cold call. You're like, oh, you got an interesting last name, Troutman. Where's that from? Oh, Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah. And funny story about my last name. And people love it when you can guess where they're from. Like I had this one guy, his last name was Sokolov. And I thought, ooh, now that's the Ukrainian spelling, not the Russian, right? And he said, how on earth did you know that? So I just like last names. I like origins. And he was just so excited that I knew he was Ukrainian and not Russian. That was a big deal to him. Yeah. But, you know, knowing that kind of history and being able to have that kind of conversation, it's valuable to people. Make friends that way.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's so great. How so now you're with Waxy Sanitary Supply?
Waxy Sanitary Supply. I think we say we're the largest. We're probably in a three-way tie for the largest distributor of cleaning supplies in the country.
And so do you have a certain industry, or is it just cleaning? Whether it's schools, hospitals?
Yeah, it's pretty big. You kind of choose your vertical that you like. And up to this point, because I wasn't always with Waxy, but I got into schools pretty early on. So that's a comfort zone for me. I kind of know my way around a school. But it could just as easily be a car dealership or like an Amazon distribution warehouse or an airport. It could be any of those things. Yep. So it's just, you know, somehow, some way getting my stuff in the hands of those that are going to go use it. You know, it might be the cleaning contractor. It might be the people, you know, at a school. It's the custodian, or maybe there's 4 or 5 custodians. So I've done everything from, you know, commonly I would go to a school and visit every single school in the district and pick up their order, almost like that meal delivery guy. What do you need on Friday? Blah, 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 blah. Great. We'll have it here. You know, but people need that. Otherwise, they're sitting there late at night on the site and their computer crashes, or they forget to order something. And so I kind of walk them through an order. And, you know, I saw a carpet spotter. You got a good carpet spotter? Oh, no, I need some carpet spotter. What do you recommend? Oh, well, this one's really good. It's dual powered. And, you know, you get some peroxide action. You get some surfactant, blah, blah, blah. You know, you educate as you go. Yeah. But they need it. They just forgot that they needed it for a second. You know? So,
and not only that, but you going in and talking about this month's specials or new products and latest trends and stuff is way better than sending them an email and hoping they read it.
Oh yeah, it's a time for them to focus on them. What do you do here in this building, and how can I make that better? And you know, they might not get that time to reflect if they're just scrubbing a toilet, or keeping up with a schedule and wondering who's going to show up and who's not. So it's always kind of that listening. Is everybody calling in sick? Well, we might need to start talking about autonomous cleaning robots, or we might need to introduce them to another friend of mine who could supplement their custodial staff for a little while. That's what we've been doing a lot of lately. Is I'm getting to know the people that have extra staff, because all the, you know, older janitors decided COVID's a really rotten time to work in the school system when you're almost retirement age. Nobody wants to get sick, and so a lot of them have left, and they were there 20 years. The school doesn't know what to do, so. I'm doing a lot of connecting the dots. Like, hey, you should call my buddy Jason. You should call Steve. You should call Terry, because they've got extra people and they'd be glad to provide them to you if you need cleanup after a basketball game or whatever. And those are the kinds of things. I don't directly get anything out of that. I'm not charging a finder fee.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just trying to make sure the building's clean, and then hopefully they remember that I was the guy that helped them do that. And then, you know, if I can buy paper towels from Chris or from Daryl, I'll buy it from Chris, because Chris was there when I needed him. It's about the same price anyway. You know, so it's the relationship brokering. It's most of my work.
Yeah, I agree. And the point I was trying to make earlier about you spending so much time in the car, that if you're going to spend this much time in the car, isn't it better to do it with people you like and you're looking forward to going and seeing people, and you're going, and you know, that's why the same route is so helpful. to delivery drivers, and because you get to know people, even though we're only seeing each other for 10, 15 minutes at a time, at least, oh, it's just, yeah, I'm glad you're here, or, I haven't got that much time right now. You know what I mean? But you develop this relationship. It's not always the cold call. Right. Because if all you're doing is cold calls and no warm calls, it can be.
Oh yeah. You get that relationship. I mean, I've walked with people through cancer battles, and I try, once we've got to know each other, I try to add them on Facebook. I've got all kinds of little custodian ladies all across the state that follow me and my cute kid pictures on Facebook. I may not even see them because they're not my customer anymore because I changed jobs and whatever. But I still value them as a person, and we're still friends. But I mean, I've cried with people, I've hugged people. During COVID, anyone that would let me in the door, I'd go see them. I ended up running a camera for a church's production crew for an hour because they were short a cameraman. Hey, Chris is here. You know how to run a camera? Kind of, and it was just someone would let me in the door, and we had a thing, and we did the thing, and I moved on to the next one. But it was meaningful that I would show up, and I was a warm body, and I don't know, it's been
and willing to help, and
you get attached to people.
All of a sudden, you're not a salesperson. Now you're family. Now you work there.
Exactly. They may not need me for months, but
you start using that. You start using that language of we. Well, what are we accomplishing, or how are we working on this, and what is our solution for that? Right, and then I feel like I talk like that, and I think I did it intentionally when I first started as a salesperson. Just starting to try to invite myself into the scenario by using the word we. But now I'm just so comfortable that I could be at the gas station and there could be a problem. I'm like, all right, what do we want to do? Like, who are you? I don't know. I'm just willing to help.
I just own everyone's problems.
Yeah.
Right. Well, here we are owning everyone's problems, and that's why I was in therapy, right? Or that's why I got out. No, but yeah, then people really appreciate that, and that they resonate, they come alive, and you just do enough of that, and magic starts to happen.
Yeah, I agree. So how long have you been with Waxy?
Not real long. I'm still the new guy. And I'm going to milk that as long as I can milk that. It's a lot to learn. About 3 months.
Oh,
I've been in cleaning distribution for 3 years.
Yeah.
So long enough to be dangerous. By no means an expert.
So why'd you choose Waxy? Can I ask?
Yeah, it was a better situation. I started at a smaller mom and pop kind of scenario, and they were great people. But there's only so many things that a mom and pop can do in terms of benefits, things like that. So, car mileage was starting to stack up, and I wanted to make sure I was not only breaking even, I wanted to make sure I could kind of plan ahead for the next car. And kids got older and they need braces. And so, I need someone that's big enough to have dental coverage. So where I'm not paying $6,000, I'm paying whatever, $2,000 or whatever. So those kind of things kind of add up. Whatever you make a year, you start taking out the cost of dentists and the cost of gas and new tires and oil changes. You could do a lot of things for that same money if you start paying all those out-of-pocket expenses. So I just started looking around. I met a lot of my competitors, which was actually really refreshing. There are a lot of really good people. And so I'll go in now and, we buy from such and such. Oh, he's a really great guy. I've never heard a bad thing about that guy. If he's doing a good job for you, awesome. You got a good one. But if he retires, if he's having supply chain issues, I'd be glad to help. But you're not going to go wrong with him. So we speak well of each other.
Yeah, very good.
So I got to know a lot of my competitors over the last year, visited all their warehouses, watched everyone stockpiling styrofoam cups, getting ready for the next shortage, hoping they guess right. Do we need masks? Do we need foam? Do we need hand sanitizer? Toilet paper. What did we run out of last year? We don't want to run out of again. I got to see everybody's stockpiles, which is interesting in and of itself. But I don't even speak ill of them because I got to know a lot of them and spent a lot of time talking to a lot of them. But Waxy was just kind of, it's got a global platform. I don't have to worry about are we financially soluble because we're everywhere and there's all kinds of good things happening, a lot of big high profile deals, and just the benefits was really good for my family. So
we didn't touch on that at all. How big is this family of yours?
I've got 4 kids, so it could be bigger. It could be bigger. We moved back with 2 and we thought we were finished, and something was in the water, and now we got 2 more. So we've got 2 that are like 9 and 7, and they can feed themselves and brush their teeth and take themselves to bed, and they're pretty easy. And now I got a 2-year-old who last night, my wife comes in laughing with a crying baby, which was weird to wake up to at 3:30 in the morning. But I heard the squall, and my wife comes in there holding the baby, and she's laughing. I'm like, what on earth is going on? She said the baby was in the kitchen on a stool eating marshmallows at 3:30 in the morning. This is what the 2-year-old is up to now. She's potty training, and she's stealing marshmallows in the middle of the night. And I don't know how many times she's done it. But we caught her last night, so she started crying when my wife walked in the room and she knew she was busted. She started crying. So we're trying to laugh and get her back to bed and not wake up the baby at the same. It's just a comedy of errors right now. But that was a good, I can be home. They're real big. If I'm still at the office at 4, when I do go to the office, they're like, what are you doing here? You need to get home to your family, which I really appreciate. And when I met the general manager, she covers Oklahoma City and Wichita. She said, all we need you to do is show up and be there for people. Just treat people good. We'll figure out all the rest of it. We know you know what you're doing. You've been in sales a while. You'll figure it out. Just be good to people. And, they worked out the payment and everything where I'm not worried about where my next meal is coming from. I can just show up, be available, build some relationships. They gave me a long runway, which was really nice. Some of the others were, nice. We need you to hit this quota in a month, and we need to, okay, well, I'll work hard, but I'm also not going to work till 8 because I got little kids at home. I'm going to be home at 5, and Waxy was real understanding of that. So I've met the CEO, I've met the president, I've met all kinds of bigwigs, and they've all been super nice and super family focused and funny. And we've cut up and talked. We've dogged on each other's sports teams, and it's a big company, but it's pretty easy to get to know people if you give half an effort.
Yeah, Oklahoma, it's tough to even know who your team would be. Like, what NFL team do you follow?
Well, I grew up with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Of course.
And then, they're glorious in the 90s, so I thought they could do no wrong when I was, 6, 7, 8 years old. They were back to back to back.
Well, they beat the Giants yesterday.
I watched them and I was super happy. Well, during the time they weren't the team of the 90s, they had kind of a rough 2000s, and I kind of thought, the Packers aren't so bad either. So I'm kind of a turncoat in a way. I love both of them. My wife is actually a huge football fan too, and we've got basically a list of hero teams. Like, we always root for the Cowboys, always root for the Packers. The Chiefs are, on our list. We like the Pack. We like Mahomes. And then we've got our villains. We just hate the Steelers. We don't know why. We just hate the Steelers. And I will never root for the Chicago Bears. I don't know why. Something about the way Mitch Trubisky looked one day, I just decided I hated the Bears or something, So like I've got like the ones we always root against, and we've got like 3 or 4 that we like, oh, they're good. And when they play each other, we'll have to choose sides.
Yeah.
And they're all doing good this year, so I don't know what I'm going to do come Super Bowl.
It's so funny. I was a big Brett Favre fan too.
Oh yeah.
And so I could see the attraction of wanting to root for the Packers. And
for sure.
I don't know what young red-blooded American male didn't enjoy the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. I forgot. I didn't know they were a team when I was a kid.
Right. Right. Oh man.
No, I
now
grew
we're
up
covering
in
my 7-year-old's eyes whenever they're on the screen. So now we watch the Packers because they're cold. They're always wearing a lot of clothes.
Everything. Yeah.
So the Packers cheerleaders are way safer. Yeah.
Too funny.
Yeah.
I grew up in Boston. I grew up a Patriots fan my whole life. And
wow, yeah.
So when as a kid, we always hated the Jets.
Oh, uh-huh.
And there was some talk about the Steelers, but it was the Jets, the Dolphins, because they were in our division,
Mm-hmm.
We didn't like either one of those teams, or the Giants, good Lord.
Right. Easy to hate. Anything New York.
Yeah. But then in 1985, we go to the Super Bowl against the Chicago Bears, and they beat us with William the Refrigerator Perry.
Oh, yeah.
And, ever since then, we've all hated Chicago.
Right. Well, in baseball, I'm a big Dodger fan, being on Southern California for a while. I will always hate the Astros forever. I used to kind of have disdain for the Yankees, but not, specific, because they're not rivals. They're just the other big market team. Hated the Giants, but now the Giants aren't so bad. I hate the Astros, because you beat us in the World Series under questionable circumstances. You're on my naughty list forever.
Yeah.
Well, so much of that is what did whose team was your dad's team, and what market games even show. Like we've got Browns games on TV all the time out here now because Baker Mayfield's an OU guy, and everyone wants to see what's going on with Baker Mayfield. We didn't even really think about the Browns going. They were never on TV. The Jets were never on TV out here. It was Cowboys, it was Packers, it was Chiefs, it was 49ers because they're rivals of the Cowboys, you know. But it's kind of, you get a different mix. And I think they're mixing it up a little. I'm starting to, hey, I never really watched the Ravens play much growing up. They just never were on our broadcast. They were on someone else's broadcast.
Yeah, it's so funny because we watched the Ravens. Baltimore was always on.
Different market. Yeah.
Anything in New York, you know, Ohio, we got some Ohio. We got the Eagles, you know.
Right.
The Giants actually, the Giants, their spring training camp was in Vermont when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, you're a Green Mountain boy.
Yeah, so they were kind of like right in the backyard, you know. So there's a lot of my my dad's friends, or a lot of them are Giants fans. My dad was always a Patriots fan, of course, because he's, you know, a respectable gentleman. But
well, that let the air out of the room.
Yeah, that took the air out. No. This isn't football talk. How dare you? No, it's just fun to hear about, you know, growing up and football teams and sports and who you root for. And I think you're right. I mean, it's all about what your dad rooted for. And, you know, my mom worked at the stadium when she was a kid, you know.
Yeah, lifelong fan, automatically.
Yeah, I mean, it's super fun. And you know, during the Brady era, everything was amazing, but everyone's like, you know, you guys have had, like, I grew up my whole life never winning a game. Like, my whole life we didn't we went to the Super Bowl one time, and you know, the Chicago Bears literally had an end zone dance that they did like 8 times. You know, like they did like the touchdown shuffle. All right. Like, it was so embarrassing.
We helped them invent it because they got lots of practice at our
state. Got lots of practice playing that game.
Yes. Well, what I love about sports is you can pretend you love or you hate or whatever, but it's just that shared experience of a game, you know. And, you know, I was all over. I don't remember what his title was. He way outranked me here at Waxy, but I heard he was a Giants fan. I just laid into him. And then the CFO was a Dodger fan, so he had my back, and he's just laughing, and I'm dogging my superior. Oh, the Giants are horrible, and, you know, you think I guys can find a bat somewhere or whatever. And we just talked smack for about 10 minutes, just a bunch of guys, and suddenly we weren't the CEO and the CFO and the new guy. We're just a bunch of guys dogging each other because it's fun. Yeah. And I don't even mean anything I'm saying. It's just fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that brings people together.
I agree. And, you know, there's an art to, I was going to say there's an art to sales, but what I really mean to say, and I think you've talked about it already, is there's an art to being a friend. Is there an art to being, is to making new friends. There's an art to, you know, letting people know that you're a good guy and what they can expect from you, just, and not based on your catalog of supplies you have, but based on the way that you talk and the way that you talk about them. And I mean, and again, I think it goes back to my sales training, where I was always very, you know, pay attention to what's on the wall. If they have pictures of kids on the walls, and ask about the kids. If they have a picture of the Patriots, then, you know that they're a Patriots fan. You know, if they have a medal on the wall, then they must be a runner or a cyclist or something. Ask them about that, right? Like, just paying attention. And when you first start out with that kind of training, it seems very foreign and forced. But then as you get good at it, I don't even recognize them doing it. Like, I'm just genuinely looking for reasons to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, because I like you.
Just because I want to like you.
Yep. There's entire books written how to win friends and influence people. It was the biggest takeaway. If you pretend, if you fake it, people kind of guess that, and they're ready to get you out of the office. My first job out of college relates to this. I walk in, my father-in-law had managed to get me an interview. He said, I don't work with this company, but from what I hear, they're a great place to get started. They sell a little bit of everything. They're a big company. Try them out. So the guy agrees to see me. I'm not really sure why. He didn't even know my father-in-law that well, but we sit down, He said, the only reason I agreed to see you was because you're from Oklahoma, and I went to high school in Oklahoma. Oh yeah, sure I am. And we kind of talked geography, and I just noticed he had aquarium stuff all over his office. And so I was like, do you guys do a bunch of business with aquariums? Or do you have an aquarium? And literally he talked for the next 30 minutes. I didn't hardly say another word. And at the end, he said, well, I don't need anybody right now, but you're all right. I like you. I want to find you a job somewhere here in the company. I think my brother needs somebody. So I ended up working in Riverside, California, running a warehouse in the heat of the summer. But then I came right back to that office 6 months later and got promoted in a really highly visible role. And the guy didn't even do that much with aquariums, really. Like, I got to know him over the next 6 years, and he really wasn't that much of an enthusiast. He had one, sure, but we never talked about aquariums a single other time. But I took an interest that one day I happened to be from Oklahoma. He was in a listening mood, and I got the job that started me on my career and got us settled in California. Let us buy a house out there before the real estate went nuts, so you just never know what that question, that genuine curiosity in someone else might lead you. It may go nowhere, because that's happened too. But every now and then it goes somewhere big. You just never know.
Yeah, it's it goes right back to that Mr. Rogers, right? Be curious, be open, be a good person, be inquisitive, be interested in others, do good things, right?
And people will want to be with you.
No question, because
no matter what you're selling, they're going to want to be your friend.
The opposite is also true. Don't be inquisitive. Don't be a good person. I worked for this guy once. I worked for him, and I knew everything about him. I knew how many kids he had. I knew what the kids' names were. I knew where they were going to school. I knew what was going on with his wife, all that stuff. He didn't know he couldn't tell you what my last name was. He never asked.
Right.
Never asked.
Right.
And it's one of those things where you're always just waiting for it. You're waiting for somebody to return the question, right? Like, oh, how many kids do you have? And I'm like, oh, and then the normal you would think is like, they're going to go, and how many kids do you have? And then when never, they just, you're like, I've been working for you for 12 years, maybe.
Right.
This whole time I'm thinking I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute. I'm not wrong. You know who's wrong here? The person not inquisitive.
Absolutely.
So what is your current goals? I mean, obviously you're just starting with this company now. You have 4 beautiful children at home. How old is your youngest? I know you said you had a 2-year-old. Is that the youngest? Did I lose you? Frozen on the plane.
Back?
Oh, there you are.
We're back.
And you're back.
We're back. She's 3 months. That's our age range. 3 months to 9 years.
3 to 9. Holy
3 months. Just sleeping through the night. Yeah.
Wow.
We're back. I'm going gray. You can't really see on camera, but my wife.
You look great. You look great.
I appreciate it. I get mistaken for, teenage 12, 20s, which is wonderful because I'm pretty close to 40, but I still carry myself like a kid, I guess. So, I'm not complaining.
No. So what are you working on now? I know that you're just getting into this 3 months in, feeling pretty good about it.
I've laughed about that. I've kind of told my boss, I think I might want to be sales manager here in a couple of years, trying to show a little ambition.
Sure.
And she's like, yeah, but do you really want everybody's problems? Because she's like, literally, if you're a sales manager, you're never going to leave the office. Every issue is going to come to your desk. I'm like, oh, you make a good point. I think that's not my goal. It took me about 2 minutes to switch. No, I think my big thing is being a lifelong learner. I've thought about going back to school to get a PhD, like in organizational psychology. I think that'd be really fun. If you could come alongside and help people design systems, kind of integrating the labor shortage, supply chain issues, just relating with people on a systems level. I think that could be a really fun place to take my career. I'm going to have to wait a minute because, she's 3 months old and I'm not sleeping much and school takes work. But when she's, able to go potty and eat and things on her own, then, and my wife's we thought that might be kind of a fun place to go, because that could take you into college administration, that could take you into consulting, that could take you higher up in a company. There's a few different things I can do, but I just like the idea of learning and applying that knowledge and maybe earning a seat at that table where some of the decision makers are, that maybe they don't want to talk to the toilet paper guy. Even though we have the same level of education, they don't know that when I walk in the door. They just know I'm there to sell them toilet paper. They don't know I have a master's degree, and a lot of my friends are PhD. Like, oh, I can have a conversation with you. I think that would be interesting to be able to have that rite of passage where people say, oh, this guy has studied enough in a field that he's a little bit of an expert. Maybe we should invite him and listen to him. I think would be intriguing. So, maybe the next 5 to 10 years, if my academic credits haven't expired by then.
It's so interesting that you're saying all that, because I too have toyed with the idea of getting a PhD in organizational development. I too am interested in the field of, I'm really more interested in the field of organizational development, but I think organizational psychology is so close.
Yeah.
Maybe the psychology part is a little bit more of the behavioral part, which I'm not as interested in, interested in the behavior part as I am in the development part. Well, let me say it better. I'm more interested in the structure of an organization than the behavior of the employees.
Right. Only because that's very systemic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can do a lot more with the development or the structure of an organization than you can the behavior of. I know one influences the other, and they both, you can go either direction. I just like the development side. I like the structured side.
Yeah. I can see that.
But at the same time, I also struggle. Not that you struggle. Let me own somebody a different way. I have always struggled with a little bit of an identity crisis in that, I'm a housekeeper, and I have a master's degree. And most of the people who I report to don't have a master's degree.
Right.
They have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't make them any less. It doesn't make me any more. But sometimes I wrestle with that. I wrestle with my position, not, because my position doesn't call for a master's degree.
Right.
You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have a high school diploma to be a housekeeper.
Sure.
And to have one doesn't really mean much. And so then I'm like, well, then I need a different level of one. And then I need another one of them. And then I'll get into,
And I've known some very foolish PhDs.
Well, fair.
Fair. It doesn't make you wise. It might make you well studied in one area. So it doesn't automatically give you wisdom. And wisdom is what pays the bucks.
Yeah, no question.
But yeah, there is that temptation to get just a little more.
Yeah, so I know that I do not want a PhD for the title. But I also know I would love the title. And I don't know what I just said, but I know I said something.
Yeah. No,
the duality of man is what I
want to be seen in a certain way, and I think it would benefit others if I was seen in this way, because I've got something to say. But I don't need you to call me doctor every 2 seconds. I want to be able to lean into it when I really have something to say.
Well, I think it's both, and I think it's important. I think it's okay to both be interested in something so much so that you pursue it, and it's okay to be recognized for the completion of that pursuit.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what a degree is. It's a completion of a pursuit. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Well said.
Housekeepers podcast.
Well said. Landing the plane.
Landing a plane. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. And tell me, what is your territory? So what's the geography? If I'm in Oklahoma.
If you're in Oklahoma, you call me. We'll do lunch. I'll find you. I don't have a specific territory. I'm the new frontier guy. Everyone else got a territory.
Okay.
They've got a route that they're on. Yeah. I started with 0 customers.
Okay.
So I went through our house accounts first. Hey, these guys buy pretty often. Maybe they'd appreciate having a rep. So I kind of did that for a couple months. Hey, would you like to have a rep if I were to be your rep? Or are you happy just doing the way it is? And then, adding people that I've met in the industry. Here's where I am now. Can I help you in this new capacity? I don't really have a geographic territory. It really just has to make sense with the truck. Can we get a truck to you in a reasonable amount of time so you're not disappointed? Sure. Great. I can be your rep. You could be my customer.
Sure.
The panhandle is tough. We get people from Colorado and Kansas call on our panhandle more than Oklahoma City does.
Oh, well,
that's
that
a
makes
pretty
sense.
big difference. It's taken me 4 hours just to get to like Alva or Woodward, which are not even quite to the panhandle yet. It's a surprisingly large state. And no one has time to drive 4 hours to have a no-show appointment. And things didn't quite work out. So here I am spending the night hoping they work out tomorrow. It doesn't work out for most people. So
yeah, that's happened to me a lot when I was on the road sales.
It's tough. Yeah. I don't mind if I drive 20 minutes and it falls apart, but if I drive 4 hours and you get called out of the office, that's a downer. So no, Greater Oklahoma City is kind of my sweet spot.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Greater Oklahoma City. Shawnee's just a little east of there, 30 minutes.
There's a great marathon in Oklahoma City that I hope to run. I ran the marathon in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah.
You should come out. Yeah, it was it's a memorial marathon, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you
That's
run right by.
That's a conversation.
Yeah.
I was here in '95 when all that happened, so I'm glad they bring that back to memory. I can't go to the museum without remembering that day, Yeah. But I'm glad they do that with the run. I've run the 5K. I'm not quite up to marathon shape, but I can get into 5K shape pretty quickly if I apply myself.
Nice. Well, my wife and I, Oklahoma is on our list. Well, we've already run in Oklahoma, but we both want to do the Oklahoma City. So when we are there, definitely going to have to meet you and your wife out for I don't know, Coca-Cola. I don't drink.
We'll get peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, whatever it is, I was going to say a drink, but I didn't mean an alcohol. That doesn't matter.
Diet Coke is great.
Diet Coke's fantastic. It doesn't hurt anybody. And from what I understand, you can drink as many as you want and still drive home. So
yeah, you might need a bathroom a few times if you drink too many. But hey, that's why we're here.
Is there anything that I can do to help you right now? Would it be helpful for people to reach out to you, share an email, a phone number?
I just love networking. I think what I love about my job, I really love my vendors I work with. I've met a lot of guys that are 10, 15 years older than me that are just great. They're my big brothers in the field. We get together, we have lunch, we talk, we staff things. I love my vendors. I love my customers because those are the people that really make it happen and make it worth getting out of bed every day. But then I really enjoy my LinkedIn network. And so I've appreciated your podcast. One of the things I've loved is several of your guests I've gone and I've followed. I've connected. Good. We've started our own conversations. It just makes me more aware of what's going on in the world. And if they're not in my area, there's limited amount of getting together or working together we can do, but we can still learn from each other. And I really get a lot out of that. So I really appreciate just the networking aspect. I've got people reaching out to me from New England. Hey, can I see that machine? Well, you could, but I can't come to you. You'd have to talk to a sister company. Let me get you squared away. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to have anybody interested in what I do. But yeah, just, all the networking, I pretty much connect with anybody that shows an interest. And, if we can just help each other.
Yeah, awesome. Great.
That's all I'm looking for in my career.
Excellent. I'm actually speaking in Oklahoma. Now that I think about it, I'm speaking in Oklahoma in May.
Oh, convention?
Yeah, for the Oklahoma Healthcare Association.
So there you go.
Actually, I think it's Leading Age Oklahoma, actually.
Okay.
So,
well, I'll try to find myself a ticket.
Yes,
that
get
would
you
be
a
fun.
ticket. It'll be a lot of fun.
All
right,
I'll try to
that's
register.
it. Chris Peters of Waxy Sanitary Supply down there in Shawnee, Oklahoma. If you need anything, look Chris up. Right, Chris?
Yep, LinkedIn. Chris L. Peters.
Chris Peters, LinkedIn. Ralph Peterson, Housekeepers Podcast. We'll see you guys later.